All right, Justin, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to be talking with you today.
I appreciate you asking me. I've been seeing what you and Lucas are doing on here, and it's awesome to see the Big Brother Survivor crossover. So I am all excited. I am ready to talk all things reality TV and my journey on Survivor.
I appreciate you checking out. I'm sure Lucas will appreciate the shout as well. So it's hard to believe it's almost been 2 years since your season filmed. So how have you been since everything wrapped?
That is pretty tough to hear. It's crazy because I feel like every time the show comes back on, you get unintentionally kind of dragged back into it, and you play like the what if game, and should I have told Cedric about losing my vote, or you have all those kind of flashbacks. But yeah, 2 years, it's been crazy. I saw you talk to Cheyenne from my season, and he made a really good point about being on an even number season as opposed to an odd number season. You kind of like living in the background for the longest time, and you can't tell anybody where you were, and they blew up your phone for 5 or 6 weeks and you can't respond. So it was just kind of strange to come back from that experience, having totally been disconnected and just living out your dream and playing this game that you've been waiting to play for so long, to coming home from not talking to anybody for the longest time and then just saying, all right, I'll just get back to work, I guess. And when people ask you, hey, where the hell were you? I was like, oh, I was here, there. I was out in California for a while. I was doing this. Yeah, but why couldn't you answer your phone?
Do you think, talking from that perspective, it's any easier being on an odd numbered season?
I think so, just because the turnaround time is so quick, relatively speaking. So for our timeline, we actually filmed pretty late. We started, we flew out like the middle to late June, and then we started filming the last week of June into early July. But with 47, they were there a month before us, and then the cast was revealed, I think either the end of August or the beginning of September. So it's kind of like 3, maybe 4 months at the most, where you're kind of not telling anybody where you were. And then you had that big reveal. For us, it's like we have to keep our head down. We all know where we were. We're all hanging out separately from each other and stuff, and trying to keep it on the down low. But you can't mention about anything, and you're still under embargo. It was a weird experience, but it was kind of cool to in the same time to like live a double life. You ever watch like Hannah Montana? It's a little bit of that.
Was that the hardest part of getting back into normal life after the show? The fact that you'd keep it a secret, or was it something else?
It was definitely that. And people were worried about the transition between, am I talking to this person? Is this person going to stab me in the back? How am I going to return to normal eating or sleeping habits? Or, I remember the first time I got handed my cell phone, Josh, I was like, this does not fit in my hand. This feels so weird to me, but it's because you've been disconnected for so long. For me, I always had this very, very rigid schedule. It was, you'd get up, you go to the restaurant, you would take inventory. All right, what do I need for this day? Buy the fresh produce, buy whatever supplies you needed, make sure the schedule is good, check in with everybody. You coming in today? Yep, we're good. Sit there, work 14, 15 hours straight, go to bed, and then do it all again the next day. So that was my life for so long. And just to have that interrupted for a month and a half, and then coming home and, trying to thrust myself back into the position. And everyone's like, dude, where the hell have you been for so long? We haven't even heard from you on the phone. You haven't posted anything online or anything with the restaurant. So that was the hardest part for me. A lot of it helped, though, in the sense that when you're voted off, you go to Ponderosa. And I know you've talked about Ponderosa a lot before. You start the game there, you end the game there, whether you're the first boot or you end up winning the show. But you have time to talk with people. You can kind of vent. You can kind of see like where things went wrong. But it's unique in the sense that you have these people who had this shared experience, a very unique shared experience, who can kind of bounce ideas off each other. You're almost like playing a second game of Survivor, because, you form like the fictitious alliances, and you'll talk strategy. And, if we could only pull this off, or if we only got to the swap, or if we were only swapped together, things would have been so different. So that helped a lot. I know some people, including myself, you're very dejected because you think it's going to go a certain way. And then, when you either get dealt a bad hand, or you overplayed your hand, or you felt as though you made the best move at the time, but ended up backfiring. You come back and you're like, well, this is over. Who knows if I'll ever get to do this again, or what will come down the pipeline? How am I going to be perceived? But talking to people who you met out there and formed those relationships with, and just seeing that continue on, really helped a lot of people transition back.
What about during and after the filming of the airing of the show? Was there anything difficult about life then?
The most difficult thing, Josh, was hearing myself on TV. And I hate the sound of my voice. Like, it's so bad. And my mother, she'll listen to every podcast. She's probably tuning in right now. So I'll give her a shout out. She loves supporting it. And it's great to hear that. But she'll get mad at me. She goes, you don't want to hear, how you sounded on the podcast when you talked to Josh. You don't want to sound how you heard on the radio. You don't want to sound how you heard in the TV interview. And I'm like, Ma, I cannot listen to the sound of my own voice. Like, I cringe so much. And the funniest thing was whenever we'd get tree mail or we would get something from the boat, or there would be a journey that would pull up to shore, they'd want me to read it. And I'm like, guys, like, I don't need to read every single clue. One or two, yeah, it's cool. It's like a Survivor bucket list item. Like, oh, I read a challenge, note on Survivor, or I read Jeff's tree mail. Like, this is awesome. But they would be like, oh, like, is that really how you talk? You really pronounce words like that? I'm like, yeah, but I don't know, any of the like way to do it. Like, I've always talked like that. And it's funny, when I got to college, a lot of my friends were from boarding schools, finishing schools. They studied overseas, like in middle school and high school, and they transfer into Yale. But when I was at Yale, they would be like, where are you from? Like, what is that accent? I'm like, literally, like, 2 hours away that way. I just hop on the highway and I'm down here. But they could not comprehend that this accent came out of this mouth. They're like, there's no way you talk like that. It's got to be forced. And I'm like, no, I wish it was. I wish I could turn it off, because so many times people are like, oh, like, can you say this, or can you talk this way, or can you say this sentence? It sounds funny.
So we'll get into you and your season a little bit more later. Let's get into season 50. So
yes.
How are you liking season 50 so far?
So honestly, I have to say I wouldn't say I had new era burnout, because, I was part of the new era. And there's been a lot of awesome people who've been on the show. I've met many of them. I've had a lot of good experiences with them. I've talked to many of them too, either on social media or through text or on the phone. But it was just so cool as a fan of the show for so long to see just like the cross generation. Like, in no other season could you have the Riz God talk to Colby and have them share an experience and a bond and talk about their first time on the island, as opposed to Rizzo now, Colby seeing himself in Rizzo at 25 years old. So as a fan, it's like a fever dream. You're seeing legends of the game. You see the Cerise, you see Jenna all the way from Borneo. You see so many charismatic people from the new era, from the 30s, people who should have seen more of, people who I'm so excited to see again. The only thing that really bothers me is that the fact that, it might be the last time you see a lot of these people on the screen. And for some of us, we've waited, 20, 30 seasons to see them again. So whenever somebody goes home, you're like, oh man, I wish I didn't have to see that. I wish, we could just kind of have them for like a little bit. And it's tough with the 24-person cast. You got to boot so many. But it's so different from a new era season, because we already know these people. We've grown up with them for the most part. We know their story. We know their background. We know how their last game ended, or their previous game, or how they won and how they finished. So you have those stories, you have those backgrounds. So you just kind of like get right into the gameplay and you see the dynamics form. The new era, to me, it was always just, we're learning all about this person, and this person might have an interesting background. But if you get swap screwed, if you go on a journey, if, like I said, if you think you are confident in the vote and you ended up getting blindsided, you lose that person. So it's like, well, why did we dedicate so much time to that? It doesn't make sense for the story. With this, you don't need the backstory. Let's just get right into the gameplay. Let's see the dynamics, how they're going to interact on the beach. So I've been enjoying it. I always look forward to returning player seasons. I know that Jeff likes an all new cast, because it's kind of pure Survivor. There are no pre-gaming or potential for pre-gaming, but I've always enjoyed it. I think seeing those big characters back and seeing how they changed their game from the last time is just like awesome television.
And you mentioned meeting people. Have you met anybody in this cast other than the people on your own cast?
So I was going to say definitely Kyle and Camilla. I have not met Joe, and it's crazy because there's so many of my cast who I haven't met yet, and it's unfortunate because I do want to meet them down the line. It's been so hard. Like, we've been so busy at the restaurant. It's almost like an embarrassment of riches. So I'm very grateful because, we can give more pay to my friends, my family, people who are working there. They've been there forever. They've seen me grow up in the restaurant. I'm more present. I'm doing longer days and stuff and doing some events in the community, which is something that I always wanted to do anyway. But it's also like the watch parties. I see Shaheen, he does a ton of them for the community, which is awesome. I would love to go see one, but it's just like, can I take a day or two to fly out to California and then fly back? Like, in my mind, I want to do all these things. I'm so excited to get around and just like sharing the experience and meet the fans and help my castmates with whatever they're doing to just see them grow and continue to grow. But it's like, logistically, it's hard. It's really hard. I've also met Aubrey a couple times, so I'm really rooting for her. I love any and all local representation, so it's exciting. Emily's been by the restaurant. Charlie's been by a few times. We actually just did an event last week together at the brewery in the Seaport here in Boston. So we watched the episode together. He had a couple of pretty funny moments, in the middle of the night, some flashbacks. So they were funny to the audience. I don't know if it was as funny to him, in the moment on the island, but it's always cool to see him. He's a great person, a great family. His girlfriend Judy's awesome too. So it's good to see the show that we have bring so many people together, and then seeing them out there the first time as a fan, going out there, getting the opportunity to play, and then coming back and now seeing your friends go out and return, and now watching their experience back with them. It's been really awesome.
And that's one of the bad parts of the new era. There's no live reunion anymore. So there's people your season 2 years ago, you haven't even met yet,
Exactly. And it's frustrating because there's been events too where we did a screening in New York City. I believe it was like the week of the premiere or maybe the week before. And I was all set to go. I was like, this will be awesome. I've never been to a TV like red carpet premiere. Like I said, I'm used to dough, sauce, and cheese, Josh. Like that's my life. Nothing's like really fancy about that. When I got to Yale, my dad was like, you're gonna need all new clothes, like a whole new wardrobe. I dress like this every day. I wear like a hoodie and sweats, and I got my hat on. And I see kids walking in with 3-piece suits, and they got all these fancy like merino wool sweaters on. And I was like, I don't want any of this shit. So like for me, it was just a different world, and like the TV and the red carpet and like the Hollywood aspect was so cool to just experience. We unfortunately had something happen at the restaurant that weekend, so I had to cancel that too. But I'm all for live reunions. I think it's good to hear from people. And even though like you do exit press, you talk to awesome fans like you who have a platform who can kind of share people's message. It's never the same because the audience, I think when the season's going on, you got them right then and there. They're captured. They want to see what you're up to. They want to see what you're doing. But then in 3 months' time, a new cast comes along. It's the new season. You want to see how they do and then follow along with that. So I am all for live reunions. I don't know if it was either like a budget cutting or if it was, a scheduling thing, whatever it may be. I know the film schedule has changed since the older days when now they do back-to-back in Fiji. So whatever it might be, I hope that CBS and Survivor find a way to bring that back. I'm so grateful it's coming back for season 50, but I am just hoping it's not a one and done. So
who are some of your favorite players on the cast, and who are you rooting for?
So I'm always going to root for, and I made this very clear, whoever has been to Luigi's. That was my primary focus, but also anyone who's local, who's been on the show before, and also my castmates too. I would like to see them go as far as they can. It's difficult. I did not want to see Kyle go out like that. I mean, that was awful. He's a really, really great dude. He's growing his family. I'm glad to see he's on the road to recovery. Just an awesome individual in all aspects. I'm very glad that he's representing our season. But seeing him go out like that was just terrible because, arguably had the biggest target on his back, and he was still able to navigate that socially. I found that so impressive and just a reflection of who he is as a person and a human being. But Camilla, I love her. I think she's hilarious. I think she's great. Joe's a great guy too, a family man, like I said. The only issue is this cast, the last episode they saw was the three of them make it to the finale. And then they flew either like the next day or the day after or something like that. It was the last thing that the cast saw before flying out to play. So I'm hoping that they're able to navigate that. I want to see them on my screen as long as I can because it's great representation for our season. And I also want to see Aubrey do well and Charlie because they're local people who I do want to support. Hopefully it seems like they're both in kind of tenuous spots. It looks like the edit is building up a rivalry between not between the two of them, but they have something going on that may be brewing. Hopefully they can both come out victorious. I'm not sure how it will end, but those are my early picks on. It's so tough, Josh, because there's so many people you want to see and you want to see do well and go forward. It's just, there can only ever be one winner. And even if there's 24 people of the cast that you're like, I'm so excited to see this, you know that most of them are going to unfortunately leave too early.
So who are some of the big misses in the cast that you would have liked to have seen that aren't on?
Oh, that's a good question. So I've always loved Amanda Kimmel. I think she's a great player. I think she's very strategic. I think she's athletic. She just has this presence about her that I think she could do well on any season. A very popular pick. I was upset to hear that she had something going on, but I think the hard part too, Josh, is that you'll see a lot of complaints on the Reddit and the Twitter and the blogs, whatever it may be. Oh, I wish this person would go out there again, or I wish that casting had picked this person. And I'm sure those people were contacted, but it's, who's doing something with the family, who's at work, who can't take time off, who may have another commitment that he or she needs to do or already signed up for before this casting process even started. So you can never please everybody, but I think they did a great job, and everybody who they picked is there for a reason. So it's a big cast, 24-person cast, never been done before. Like I said, I don't know how they're going to navigate this calendar. I mean, we're on like day 8 or 9 and there's still 20 people left. So you're going to see a lot of people leave pretty quickly, I feel like. Amanda's definitely one that I would want to see again. Jerry Manthe too. And, I remember that Instagram reel when she found out she was not cast. And it was, I don't know, it was upsetting because you could see how much she wanted to be back out there. And how do you pick Colby and not her? They have such a great dynamic together. And I've seen it grow from their time in Australia all the way when they were in Samoa together for Heroes versus Villains. So those two definitely off the top of my head, I would have liked to see them out there. And hopefully we'll get to see them again.
So the people voted out already. You already touched on Kyle a little bit. What do you think of the Jenna and Savannah being voted out?
Well, the edit, it seemed like it was setting up for Jenna versus Sari. And now I feel like we're seeing like a Charlie versus Rizgod. We're seeing like a Genevieve versus Aubrey. So I don't know if that's going to be the season of just like the head-to-head battles, like conflict, clashing. We have this person who's thinking one way. We have this person who's thinking the other way. And one of them will prevail. The other one will fall. Like I said, I like all 4 of those people who I just mentioned, and I hope to see them all do well. I'm hoping that I am very, very wrong, and the Jenna versus Sari thing was a one-off, but it was great to see Jenna. I mean, that transition with her on the boat, or I should say on the plane, and then coming on the boat was so cool. Seeing somebody who played the first time I watched the show when I had no idea what the hell they were doing. They were like running around half naked, catching rats on a beach. And I pointed to my mother. I was like, this is like the coolest thing. And back then it was such a phenomenon. Nothing had ever been done like that before. But I knew right then and there I always wanted to do something like that, have some crazy adventure. So to see her go out early was upsetting. Granted, I know there always has to be a first boot on a season. I was kind of hoping it wasn't the only Borneo representative. For Savannah, I don't know if I haven't had a chance to talk to her yet about her exit. But I've met her twice with her boyfriend. They're awesome people. And I give her a ton of credit because she probably, if it wasn't Kyle, it was her with the biggest target on her back. I mean, no one knew what she had done. Obviously, she made a huge impression on casting and production to play back-to-back with I think she broke for like 9 or 10 days. That was it. So winning the show to going home, taking care of whatever you need to do, flying back out and then playing the biggest season of Survivor ever is no. I mean, it's a feat that I couldn't even comprehend. So for her to even last a tribal should be considered a victory. And hopefully we'll get to see her play again. I saw people mention like a Tony Vlacho's arc, which I think might be able to stick to. You win, you show that you won. You're the reason why the season went that way because of your dominance. You go out far too early than you should have, and then you come back and you have another awesome run. So I'm hoping for that. And then Q is just, I don't know. I want him on every season of Survivor. I think he's just hilarious. I think everything he says is funny. I don't think he even intends for it to be funny, but just the way he says things and the inflection in his voice and the emphasis he has and the way he'll look somebody dead in the eyes and say something so serious and then say something hilarious afterwards. I think he's just great entertainment. And it was good to see him kind of change from the 46Q that people said was chaotic, who wanted to quit, who wasn't as good in challenges. It just seemed like he had done so much self-reflection and talked to people. And, I don't know if it was because he's a dad now or if he's back into work or whatever it may be. It was like a whole new person. He was very, very self-aware of what was going on. I thought he was very strategic. I thought he was able to build a lot more bonds. But I would like to see him get, if he wants to do it a third try, I think he would be great on another season of Survivor.
I feel like you've mentioned liking everyone in the cast. I'm curious, is there anybody that you weren't necessarily a big fan of them on their previous seasons?
For 50, no. I mean, it's even the picks out of left field that, I saw Tiffany get a lot of flack on Twitter, but I'm saying I thought she was great on her original season. Kind of like a what if pick. She went home with an idol in her pocket, which is never a good way to go home. But everybody is there for a reason. I've always believed that. The same thing with my season. Everyone was on 48 for a reason. Everyone is on 49 for a reason. If you're cast on Survivor, you're there for a reason. So I am just excited to see how they all come back to play. Like I said, who might change differently, who might play the same game, who might want to, throw whatever the hell at the wall and see what sticks. So as a fan, like I said, I'm very excited. I think they did a great job collecting a bunch of people from all different eras. I've seen some talk like, you want to see a little bit more from like the 20s, maybe like a Malcolm. I'm always going to deflect to people with great hair too, Josh. So if he was out there, I think that would be cool. But then you get into the conversation of, well, who do you replace? Because it would have to be a old school male. So do you take one of those 6 off? I mean, I don't think so. So it's tough. You're playing, like 3D chess. You want to move a lot of pieces around. You want to see what fits, what sticks. You want to create the conflict. You want to create the bonds. You want to see those conversations. Like I said, Colby and Rizgod, and just the intergenerational chats that you would never get on another season. So, I mean, I have no complaints about it. I think it's awesome. Like I said, could more people have been on? Yes, I think so. But also, I don't know who the hell you would even take off.
What did you think of Jeff's rapping at the tribe swap?
Oh, God. I am very glad I was not there for fried chicken and waffles. So I've talked to some of the 50 cast about this, and they told me it sounded a lot better on TV than it sounded before the challenge and before they swapped and dropped their buffs. So, the magic of TV editing, the editors have a tough job. They certainly did a good job with this one, because you had the sound effects, you had the little beat, you have the snapping on cue and everything. But I don't know. He's very good at what he does. He's an icon of the show. He's instantly recognizable. Showrunner, executive producer, everything. The man wears all hats. He does not have to sing. He's very talented in every other aspect.
So you didn't get to the tribe swap in your season. Do you like swaps? Would you have voted for a swap?
I actually did vote for a swap. I would prefer a swap on a returnee season, just because, when you first go out to play, Josh, you don't know anybody, and you befriend them during the season. You might meet them at the watch party, or you might see them again. Like, you have social plans, who's going to whose wedding, who's going over whose house to watch the show. But then you watch the season, you're like, oh, I can't believe, thinking now we would vote for each other. This person would vote this person, because you just become so close. But like I said, you don't know anybody. You get in there the first time, there's really no relationships. It would be pretty difficult, I think, to have a already devised relationship between two people. With returnee seasons, you go to the watch parties, you go over each other's houses, you're in the same social circles, you talk almost every day for some of these people. So if you end up on the same tribe, you're like, this is an automatic 2 votes, might be 3, might be even 4. You'll form those relationships really quickly. With the swap, it kind of can play against any pre-gaming, because you will change up those relationships, and maybe they get back together during the merge or whatever it may be, or a second swap or a third swap. But I do like the swap on the returnee seasons, not so much on the all newbie seasons, unless there's, a Vula or a Kelly or, some sort of disaster tribe. I think you want to give those people like a little shot at it.
So then at the tribe swap, Emily, she spills everything. It's complete chaos. Do you think that she plays similar to Say at all?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, it seemed as though Emily was more focused about covering her tracks. And I think Christian too. That confessional, by the way, is hilarious. Just seeing him from, the very intelligent, kind of nerdy archetype to now this dramatic theater personality is a really, really funny swap from just, from the old era now to 50. I think Emily was trying to just see, kind of, let me test the waters and see what's going to happen here. It seemed like it worked with Angelina. And I know that she, from people on her season, from what she even said, I come off as very direct. I'll talk to you. I will tell you exactly what's going on. It may not be something you want to hear, but it is the truth. And Angelina looked at Emily in her eyes and said to herself, I think I have somebody here. It seems like she's being totally truthful to me. She has no reason to lie. So I think Emily did it with much more grace than Say would have done. And it did seem as though she was still conscious. She wanted to do some damage control. She wanted to talk to Christian, even though she must have had the feeling that he would not agree with what happened. But I give her credit. It seemed like it was a calculated risk, something that she knew might be able to blow up in her face, but enough of a risk to say, all right, this also may pay off. I may find a new ally in an Angelina and have her on my side for a vote or two.
And then we get to the immunity challenge. It's the blindfold challenge. Do you like this challenge? Do you like people risking getting hurt in this challenge? Colby hit his head at one point.
Yeah. Did you like the little throwback to the Australian Outback, the little didgeridoo?
Yep.
Yeah, that was a really cool edit in there. I'm sure at the time, Colby was not thinking any of that was cool. But as someone who's done this challenge, it's very, very hectic. They made it seem it was like a lot easier on TV. But I mean, not only do you have your own caller yelling at you, you have other callers yelling who may or may not be trying to also kind of confuse you. You have Jeff yelling. You have whoever's on the sit-out bench for our season. I know there was nothing on this season because it was even tribe split, but they're yelling. They're cheering on their respective tribes, or they're trying to direct people. So it's a lot. You really can't see anything, and it's not just the buff over your head. There's another blindfold beneath that. So it was pitch black. I got a few bumps and bruises, nothing, between the legs, which I'm grateful for, nothing to the head, but things can go pretty wrong. I've seen in past seasons. I remember when Spencer played, I don't know if it was Cagayan or if it was second chances. He got a few pretty tough shots. So I do like it because it's different. It's not like the physical. It's kind of like you'll have a physical challenge with a puzzle. You'll have some water-based challenge, and then you'll have more of like a skill or like a tactfulness, or who's the best communicator, how can you figure this out. For my season in particular, we actually kind of try to anticipate how the other callers would work. So we just assumed everyone would be like, all right, turn left, turn right, go straight. So I told Cedric, I was like, let's use like the face of a clock. And, if you know an analog clock, I feel like I'm kind of an old soul, so I still knew it. But, maybe some other ones did not know it. But I'm like, say 12 o'clock, I'll go straight. Say 3 o'clock, I'll go to the right. Say 6, I'll turn towards you, or I'll turn behind me, wherever I might be. But use that because no one else should be using that for if we figure this out correctly. And also, if we're all on the same page, we'll be able to hear each other clearly. So if you hear 6 o'clock, I'm sure the other callers will be like, what the fuck is he talking about 6 o'clock? But we'll know, like, all right, about face, turn this way, and then we'll head that way. So I like it. I think it's cool. It shows a different kind of skill set. It shows that the show does not have to just be like all physical, because there's a lot of different aspects to see you advance your game. Would I like to do it again? No, but to see other people do it, yeah, it is pretty cool to watch.
So talking from your season, obviously Kyle's out already, but how do you think the Joe and Camilla are doing so far? How do you think how far are they going to go?
Well, it seems as though and I don't know. It's tough to say because I didn't really have any interaction with Joe on my season. But the edit is showing him differently. It seems like he's more open to conflict and calling people out. We saw that exchange with Devin, which from Exit Press, it seems like it was more heated than it was showed on the show. So I don't know. He'll always be a physical asset. I mean, he was a beast in the first challenge. He's a great dude to have around camp. He's great for morale from what I've heard from my castmates too. With Camilla, I'm upset because I want to hear more from her. And I know she's a great confessionalist. I know she's hilarious. I've talked to her in real life. I've talked to her over social media. I mean, she's just a naturally funny person. She has a great way of explaining things. She's very intelligent. She's awesome at puzzles. I just don't know why we're going through episodes. Granted, it's a bigger cast, but I think episode 2, you got like 0 confessionals from 5 different players.
I think it was all women too.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I'm like, where's the representation? I mean, women are half the cast, and it's, take like one little conversation away from a water well, or maybe that conversation might take place and proliferate down the line, but cut that in, like a little bit. Just give them some form of content. I think if you're there for 50, people want to see you play again. You're there for a reason. The fans obviously wanted you. Production wants to see you. They know that you're great on camera. They know that you're giving your all and what they want to see. I just cannot fathom, especially with increased episodes, giving a player 0 confessionals. So I don't know. I think too, as someone who was a fan, played the game, and is now like an alumni and now watching the edit, it's so different from Big Brother, because with Survivor, we know that there's already a solution. The editors are just trying to get us there. With Big Brother, they find out who wins when we all find out. So you'll see over edits, you'll see under edits, but people will go super far. I don't know what the logic is behind it. Maybe they think this person's going to win. Maybe they think this person won't win. Like whatever it may be, but it's played basically in real time, with Survivor, sometimes there's a reason, like, why is this person getting 0 confessionals? Oh, they're gone next week. Or sometimes they're purple, then you'll see them, make it to final 5, final 6. It's strange to me. I don't understand why it happens. I'm sure there's a method to their madness. They've been doing it for 25 years, 50 seasons. That is no easy task. But I would like to see more from the women. I want to see more from Camilla. I want to hear from her. And I want to hear from Chrissy. I want to hear from Dee. I want to hear from Tiffany. I want to hear from these people who made it to the biggest season ever in Survivor. And then you're getting no content from them. It's just, I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me.
So if you were on the season, who do you think that you would have wanted to align with?
Well, I'm always partial to the Boston group. So, Charlie and I, we've hung out socially. Like I said, we've seen each other on different watch parties and stuff. And we've hung around there. Similar educational backgrounds, granted he went further than me and he's very, very intelligent, but definitely him. I think he's got a good strategic mind. I think he's funny. I like that little kind of next time on Survivor, him and Jonathan doing like that, whatever the hell was going on there. So you're seeing a different side to Charlie. I think it was someone I would want to work with. Definitely people from my season, which may or may not be the best strategy because you're already seen as like a natural duo, but you've already gone through the game together in the sense that you're on the same season, you play the same season, kind of compare and contrast your experience back then with this one. I think that would be an interesting dynamic to see too. And then I'm just a fan of Aubrey. I've loved to see her story arc going from kind of like the timid person and, kind of melting down and go wrong to just flourishing into a strategist. That was awesome to see. And then, coming back for Game Changers and then Edge of Extinction and then hoping to see her do well in this season too, because she's always been very nice to me. She sent me a lot of nice messages when I was voted off the show. So anyone who's, gives me that guidance, I know they're a good person and, hopefully they can have a great experience out there. Did
you make a preseason winner pick and has that changed now?
So I did pick Charlie. I'm gonna still stick with Charlie. Like I said, when I saw he was on there, been to Luigi's local guy, and we're big sports fans too. So I would want to see him do well. He was my number 1 pick, but it's also like I have so many favorites, Josh, on this season. I remember with 49, I picked Shannon because I was like, all right, I'll go with her. Only Boston representative. I've been to her restaurant so many times before and after Bruins Celtics games. Just like nights out for live music or they have a DJ. But with this one, it's like, how do you pick? Like, it's like going into like Baskin Robbins. Like you want to try every flavor because, you like them all, but it's like, you can only get one. So I went with Charlie at first. I was very happy to see him back out there as someone who, has a strong argument. He could have won his season. I want to see how he'll do in a second chance.
So is there anything else about 50 you want that we didn't touch on before we get into your season?
I am just hoping that no one else has to lose a vote, because I as someone who's been through that and had to navigate that, and there's no really right way to play it. I got so much shit, Josh, from people saying, "Why the hell wouldn't you just tell Cedric you lost your vote?" And knowing in the back of my head what happened with Bianca 2 episodes later, I couldn't say it at the time, but I don't know. It was like a rock in a hard place. And, I was running the numbers in my head really quickly. And I'm saying, if all of this would have to go wrong for me to not end up here tomorrow. And it was like, like a 2% chance, if that. It was something really like minuscule. But mathematics said like, almost 99% of the times, like, all right, I'm good. Like, this is water under the bridge. We'll just move forward from here. And in Survivor, you just need another day because you can change your game. As we saw it, we had a swap literally the next morning. So anything could happen as long as you're just on the show. Q to have to sell his vote. And then, that's how he kind of went out. I mean, couldn't play a shot in the dark, couldn't do anything. Having to reveal that, it's just, I don't know. I think Survivor is at best when everybody has a voice, everybody has agency. And then you could say like, well, he or she had the ability to make a move, didn't make a move, or made the wrong move, whatever it may be. That's what I want to see. So I'm just kind of hoping that the sold votes, the lost votes, the gambled votes, or whatever, the carnival games, board games, like we don't need that. It's a winning formula as it is. It's an awesome show. It's a great game. Let's just kind of stick to the bare bones.
So how did you end up on Survivor in the first place? What is your casting story? How many times did you apply? Tell me the story there.
So I always knew I wanted to try and be on, but I had no idea about anything with casting, like totally clueless. I thought you would apply, Josh, and if they liked you, like Jeff would call you, be like, all right, like we're leaving tomorrow, like get all your stuff, like we're just gonna drop you off. And like, you know, he'd land in the back of Luigi's on like a helicopter, grab me, and then, you know, off to Fiji. So I had no idea. Like, you know, I thought you sent the video in. If they like you, like, all right, you're in, you're like, you're good. I remember when I first applied, I got a call like the next day. So I told my mother, I was like, oh, I guess I'm going on this show. And she had no idea what the hell I was talking about, because we made the video together. She was my camera woman, which I appreciate. But I just thought, like, you get the call and like, all right, you're in. And the casting person was like, no, this is like a multi-month process. Like, I'm just the first of many steps. I was like, oh, I had no idea. I've never done this before. I had a friend in school who always wanted me to go on a TV show. I have no idea why. But she was like, they always need like a tall white dude with long hair for these shows. And I had always watched Survivor as a fan. You know, like I'm kind of like the anti-Suri. Like I was on the couch, but I was happy to be on the couch. I mean, we ran watch parties in college. We ran watch parties at like my friend's house. We'd have like Survivor kind of theme parties up in Maine. We go up every year as a big group of friends. And we do like, you know, the fire making. We do some challenges. Who had a buff? Who had like a headband? We do some cool stuff like that. But never did I think I'd be on the show. It was only until I had a really rough night at the restaurant. And like anything that could have went wrong, like totally went wrong. Like we were out of cucumbers, and then like my dishwasher guy quit. He was like freaking out about something. He had fought with his ex-girlfriend on the phone. And I was like, you know, just don't worry about it. Like, you know, figure out when you get home. Just trying to like get to the end of the shift. No, I can't stand this. I gotta go. And then some guy didn't like his food, and he threw the pizza tray at me like a frisbee. I was like, I gotta change. Like something's ain't right here. Something's got to go on. So I called my mother. I was like, can you just come down and help me close? And I was like, I'm filming this video. Like, I'm going to go on this show, Survivor. She's like, you know, and we watched it all the time together, but she never thought I'd be on. So we filmed it literally like one take, Josh. I just like spun dough around in the air. I was like, you know, no one's going to vote a guy who's making pizza off the island. I'll go out there, you know, flint, machete, like whatever you need. I'll cook it out there. I don't need no oven. I'll be fueled with all the carbs I need. Sent it in, got a call the next day. Like I said, you know, and then you just kind of go from there. But I always knew I was going to be on. It was a weird feeling, not knowing how many steps. Like, you know, you talk to Jeff, you talk to the executive producers, you talk to like the whole head of the network. You go out to California, you do like a mental test, an emotional test. You do an IQ test. You got to go through a ton of medical screening. It was just interview after interview after, you know, a background check, wardrobe check, everything. But like, no matter what was thrown at me, I just said to myself, like, I know I'm on this show. It was a weird kind of confidence, which I wasn't used to having, because a lot of stuff I feel like kind of like goes wrong for us. But that was definitely something that I was just so confident in. Yeah, but I applied one time. Actually, during casting, they found out that I had like a heart issue. So they were kind of unsure if I could get medical clearance to be on the show. They talked about like a potential for like an open heart surgery. Everything is fine. It was a ton of like advanced medical screening, which I would have never even found out had I not gone through the process. So I got cut. I was supposed to be on 45, got cut medically. And then there was a little bit of a big brother conversation, because they're like, well, if we can't clear you for this, maybe we'll clear you for a big brother, because at least you're in a house, you're in an environment where, you know, there aren't any dangers to you potentially. There's food, there's water, there's access to different resources, and it's definitely more contained than a Survivor setting would be. So I watched Big Brother 25 for the first time. Had never watched Big Brother before in my entire life, and I did not know what the hell to make of it. I just saw Suri on there. I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like, you're seeing, you know, people from your favorite show, a legend of the game, kind of cross over and play this new game. But for her to say, I've done Traders, I've done Snake in the Grass, I've done Survivor so many times. I've played all these different games and I've done so well. Big Brother was the hardest thing I've ever done. I go, no, that is definitely not the game for me. So anyone who goes on that, I give them a ton of credit, because that is a beast of a game.
So what had you seen of Survivor before going on? Had you watched every season or?
Every season. And like it was used to be Thursday night. Now it's Wednesday, but it was like appointment television. We'd be seated on the couch, bring home a Luigi's pizza. We would just have like a family night. And my dad would always try to place me in a position, you know, if you were on this tribe, what would you do? If you were doing this challenge, what would you do? And it would just get me to think, like, strategy, thinking ahead. I was always worried about potentially going on the show, that aspect of like the unknown, because you don't know what Jeff's going to throw at you. You don't know what production will throw at you. You don't know like what the timeline is. You know, if there's a swap, there's a change. I just wanted to be as prepared as I possibly could be if I did have the opportunity to go out there and play. So we all watched as friends, as family. We all joked about like, one of us will get on, and then we'll support you and stuff. And like whoever gets on, we just want to see them do well because it's so cool to see a local person that who and grown up with and, you've celebrated with and, had tough times with and grown from that, just go out there and live his or her dream. So for me to have that opportunity was the coolest thing. They did not have to do that. Like, there's no one who has to be on Survivor. But the fact that I was able to have that opportunity and that experience and go through it was so cool. So every episode, as like the fan in me was so excited to go out there, but the game player in me, the person who really wanted to win the show for his parents and see them retire financially, was also like, I have to temper this because, I don't want to show my hand too much. I don't want to show people like how much I know about the game. Like I said, I've seen every episode. I know almost every advantage and every kind of twist and turn. So, it was cool in real time to see like, the Jekyll and Hyde, like, all right, like I want to go do this. I want to climb this rock. I want to like go fishing here, but also, do I get hurt? Do I risk getting hurt? I want to stay in the game. So I'm present. I can play, but being in Fiji, being on that island and just seeing everything was awesome.
So after going on the show, are you any more or less invested in the show? But some people, once they go on the show, they see the, behind the curtain and they're not as interested. Are you more or less into the show now?
For me, it went in waves. And I had a really tough time initially coming home. I don't know if that was everyone's experience, but just kind of seeing how everything happens and you're kind of, like you don't have as much agency as you would have thought. Even like with confessionals, you're pulled for a while from other people. And, like I would always see like on camera, Josh, like there would be a conversation going on and talking about like X player. And they're like, oh, where is this person? Oh, well, he or she's off on a walk, but it's like terminology. You're doing your confessionals. That's your time to be away from camp and just talk to the producers and kind of explain your game and what's going on in the game, where you feel like you stand. So that was frustrating because you have to do it. Obviously, it's important. It's very important to the show. It's very important to the storytelling of the show, the narrative. But it's also like, they could be finding an idol behind my back. I would have no idea. They could be talking about me behind my back and, plotting my demise. I would have no idea. And I think the way that I went out in particular was a tough pill for me to swallow because I had prepared so much. I mean, every puzzle, Josh, I worked out every single day. I put on like 40 pounds of muscle. I was 140 pounds, literally like all my life, like legit skin and bones. And I mean, I would eat, like I'd be around food all day, but I was constantly running around. I was constantly moving. You're working like 14, 15-hour shifts. You're not really sitting down to eat. You're kind of like grabbing a slice on the go and then just, continuing your work. So to stick to like a diet, to do like the protein powder, to do all the exercises and just like put yourself in the sense of the challenges and figure out what you need to do, how you navigate certain situations, to see all of that kind of just like blow up, and come down to like a dice game. I always said to myself, like, I would have just spent the weekends at like one of the local casinos and just, played craps or bubble craps or whatever. So that was tough, but it's like, I will always be grateful for it. Granted, is it the way that I wanted it to go? No. Do I think like on another opportunity, would it go the same way? It might, but it really can't possibly go any worse. So I don't know. It's like, it's weird. Like I'll always be a fan deep down, but I think like the fandom is more muted now. I'm more of like an alumni. The same thing, like when I was in college, like all the stuff I wanted to go to, like I was so happy to be in that environment. It was so cool to be there and see everything. When you're like a few years removed, it's like, you're not seeing your friends every single day. You're not seeing your castmates every single day. You're not really invested in their lives as much. Everyone kind of is doing his or her like own thing. Everyone has a busy schedule. So you kind of like try to make time for as much as you can, but it's not the same as it used to be.
So I imagine, being such early boot was tough pill to swallow. Have you gotten over it? It's still, not over it.
I think it'll always sting, like just no matter what. And like I said, if I got blindsided, if I, overplayed my hand, if I was like out looking for an idol and like got my hand caught in the proverbial cookie jar, like, no, that's totally on me. But just like the sequence of events was so frustrating. And I remember getting my phone back in Los Angeles and my mother, when she got the email that I was coming home early, she goes, he had to break his leg. He had to have a panic attack. He had to like get bit by a shark, like some freak accident. Cause she goes, you were just so prepared. And I've never seen you focus like that in your life on something. And I told her, I go, Ma, like not for nothing. I could not even explain what happened. Like literally, like still, I was almost like in a state of shock because I could never, ever in a million years say like, that's how I got off my favorite show. And like the opportunity to finally play ended like that. So I think it'll always hurt. I'll always have like the what if, the people come in Luigi's all the time, and they'll see me in the back. They're like, I drafted you first in my fantasy league. And I was like, oh shit. Like I hate hearing that, because you feel like you let people down. But I mean, also it really is a cool thing. It's opened up a lot of doors for me. It's brought a ton of business, and it's brought a lot of good people in my life, not just my castmates, but also like their friends, their family, fans of the show, people who just like love this every day, people like you who are now I'm getting to talk with and, share this experience and hear your questions and just like have a conversation. So, I'm very grateful for that.
So how do you look back on it? Are you the unluckiest player ever?
I mean, I don't want to because I don't want to be like the woe is me guy either. But I mean, I don't know, like getting picked for the journey, losing the journey, having the shot in the dark hit, and then just everything, whatever the hell happened with Cedric, and I know there's some stuff I still can't say because I'm still under an agreement, but I get why he did it. There were reasons why he did it, which unfortunately weren't shown. And, in the moment, I'm thinking this could be a big point in the season. It's a big growing point for many people, especially during that time, like before the election and everything that was going on socially. So I saw it as like a growing moment, not only for me, but like for everybody else. But to just see that just like nixed from the edit, like really, really hurt. And I think that's where I'm more frustrated, even if I were totally unlucky. I've definitely reduced my gambling, which was never high before. You sprinkle, like if you go on the Bruins game, you go on the Red Sox game, you just like, throw a few bucks here and there, like whatever. Now it's like, let's go to the game and then we'll go home. None of that stuff.
So looking back, is there anything you wish you had done differently or no regrets?
I don't know, because it just felt like there was so much out of my control, and I was supposed to be on 45, didn't work out, got caught medically. Then the Big Brother shift. Then I was going to be on 47 and then finally placed on 48. So it felt like I was just kind of like a moving piece. I'm a big believer in like everything happens for a reason. But I remember sitting pregame and I'm looking at Shaheen. He's like this big ripped dude, like obviously really strong. You look at David, he looks like he's like a Marvel character, like just like an incredible build. Joe was the first person I saw after we left the hotel to go film. And I was like, oh my God, like this guy looks like a professional wrestler. He's huge. Kyle's obviously a strong dude too. So I'm like, all right, well, there's 4. One of them has to be on my tribe, at least one. Maybe I'll get 2. And then seeing me, Cedric, and Kevin, and Kevin, granted, he's a strong guy too, but he got hurt the very first like 5 minutes of the game. So, I mean, there's so much out there that's out of your control. You think you're going to play a certain way. You think you're going to emulate a winner. I think you actually learn more from the losers of the show. I think you learn a lot about tempering expectations, go out there and have fun. Why did this person go out so early? Listen to those podcasts, listen to those people. Like for a winner, a lot of them, they obviously did well to where they got to, but they didn't have to do a certain thing, or, they weren't on the bottom for a vote, or if they were to go home, they had the knowledge to play an advantage. So there's always a reason why somebody wins and somebody goes home. But I think you do learn a lot more from the people who, maybe took a swing too early or didn't take a swing at all or figured things out too late. You want to hear those aspects when you go out there to play. But for me, I just don't know like what I would change. And, people tell me all the time, like I said before, like you should have told Cedric. But if you tell Cedric, you go home. If you don't tell Cedric, you go home. So I'm like, what do I say then?
And that's why people should listen to this podcast, right?
Exactly. Absolutely.
So let's go back to Ponderosa. I'm sure, in pregame, you're sizing everybody up. But did you have someone to peg that you thought, this person could be a winner, this person's a big threat to my game?
So I was deathly afraid of Shaheen, deathly. Mm-hmm. And I actually read some of his, what players were talking about him in pregame for 46. Mm-hmm. So, they were saying SD, bearded guy. And then when I got to Fiji, I'm looking at him. I'm like, this has to be the person. And then during Ponderosa, you only go by your initials. So I was JP, Shaheen was SD, Cedric was CM. But I'm looking at him. I'm like, this has to be the guy who everybody talked about on 46, who made it like a lasting impression as an alternate, which was so cool to see. But then putting that, I'm like, all right, he's here for a reason. He's out here to like slit my throat. He's going to kill me. And then he was just like the nicest, most interesting dude. Like when we were there, we didn't have a ton of interaction, unfortunately. Hopefully at some point we'll get to hang out. He's texted me many times and reached out on social media. He's been really good to me. It's just our schedules never like unfortunately aligned. But he was the one I was really, really worried about, which is so funny now because he's into all community stuff. He's got his speech and debate coaching business going on. And he's into activism, like just the most interesting, like coolest dude you can think of. So seeing him, I'm like, oh shit, like everybody talked about him. He must be like this huge personality, this huge character out here for a reason, out here like cold-blooded killer. And then you meet him now and you're just like, oh, it's just Shaheen. He's just a great dude. So, I was afraid of that. To my right actually was Cedric. And he and I would like look at each other like, you can't do much. I don't know what the hell happened in 49, Josh, because like apparently it was like awful. For me, I've been to Catholic school for 13 years. And then I was at Yale and like everything was so structured. Everything was so rigid. You couldn't talk during certain things. You had to dress a certain way. You had to like, if your head was down, your head was down. If you were looking up, you had to look straight. So kind of having that rigid background helped me a ton in Ponderosa because I was scared shit, and the handlers then were like, if you talk, you're off the show. If you make any like hand gestures, you're off the show. If you even like so far as look at somebody, you're off the show. But I always got like a calming sense from Cedric. Just, I don't know if it was the glasses or the way he dressed or just how he presented himself. He just seemed like a good dude. So when I found out he was on my tribe, it was almost like a natural kind of connection. I knew he had some white collar profession because they gave him a suit jacket and he had a button down shirt. So I'm thinking, I'm in my work clothes. I could not hide it. It said literally pizza across my chest. So everyone kind of knew like what I was up to. But with him, I'm like, he seems like a grounded dude, like obviously intelligent, obviously well-spoken, obviously a family man. Maybe we can get something going here. So he gave me great impressions. Shaheen, not so much, but now it's like, all those preconceived notions, once you hit the beach, you just kind of throw them out.
And looking around at the cast, did you think at 29 that you would be the youngest man there?
No, that blew my mind. And we were trying to think like, is there a theme going on here? Is it like another like millennials, Gen X or something? Or like, Survivor, not octogenarians. We weren't that old, but still, you would see like, mid, sometimes even early 20s. We've seen some high schoolers play this. I think of Will when he was 18. I could not imagine doing that at 18 years old. It's crazy. But seeing that and realizing like how young I was comparatively to everybody else was nuts. I figured I'd be, maybe skew like a little bit older or maybe like right in the median, but to be the youngest guy on that cast was crazy. Never, ever would have thought that. And just seeing like how 47 was, you saw some younger people, how 49 was, you saw, like Rizzo 25. But it was a weird feeling. I don't know if that was intentional or not. I'm not sure, but when I found that out, that was honestly like one of the most shocking things of the season.
Someone you didn't mention from the pregame was Kyle. Kyle goes on to win the season. How do you rank Kyle versus other winners? What do you think of his game?
So I think his strategy was awesome, and I think it's a strategy that you can use going forward if you want to do well in the game. And it's like make those early connections, talk to everybody, be friendly. Early on, you have nothing to lose. Everyone's kind of meeting each other. You're on the same foot. You're starting off. Nobody has any like inherent biases or, like I said, knows anybody better or worse than anybody else. So talk to everybody else, see what sticks, see if you can find that number one. And then when you get to a merge or a swap, you want to leverage those connections and go forward using those. He made a great read, obviously, on the Thomas vote out. He knew he was in trouble. He knew he had to play the idol. He used it. And then it was just kind of like continuing that pace from there. I think he played a great game. I think he played a really strong game. And I think that his game could be replicated in so many other seasons. And I think it's unfortunate because it seemed as though he was trying to play that same game in 50. I mean, he hit the beach. Everybody liked him. Everyone wanted to work with him. He was kind of like the nucleus of that tribe, and everyone wanted to go to him with the information. Doing the same thing, you might cause some problems later on. But I think as somebody, like I said, who arguably had the biggest target on his back coming in that game, literally watching you win $1 million, flying out the next day and then saying, hey, I want to work with you. Like, to me is crazy. But when you talk to Kyle, when you meet him, when you work with him and when you see what he's about, like, he's a great dude. Like, you can just have a conversation with him. You can feel like you have a friend. And then with Kyle, it's almost like an embarrassment of riches because you can go this way. You can stick with your old alliances. You can bring new people in. You can form those voting blocks and navigate the game that way. So I think it's a great strategy. I think going forward, you'll see other people replicate that. But I think socially, strategically, physically, he was a great mix of all three and someone who was able to use those traits and strategy to just navigate the game.
And what about season 48 as a whole compared to other seasons? Because a lot of fans thought it was a boring season, with the dominant alliance controlling. How do you think season 48 ended up being?
So you know what's really funny? I remember when we there's two planes that leave, the pre-jury plane, and then we kind of go back to California, and then there's the jury in the final 3 plane. So everyone will leave in 2 separate groups. When we were leaving, the producers told us, like, you don't understand, this is a top season, like top 5, maybe top 3. Like, they were talking heroes, villains, they were talking Micronesia, they were talking Pearl Islands, China, and I'm saying, like, really? And they're like, oh yeah, I mean, look at the pre-merge. I mean, you had Stephanie go out first, played her shot in the dark. You had a blindsided Kevin. You had my crazy vote out. You had the Thomas vote out with the idol. You had Bianca go home with a crazy, like, it was like a 2-1-1 split vote. I mean, every episode was just like nuts. But then to see that go from there and the public sentiment being so high, saying this is awesome, to just kind of like, I'll always be biased because I was on the show, and I know people who are on the show now, so I want to support them. It's tough to see how many people said, like, oh, it's so boring. It's like so old school. Like, nothing happened. Nobody flipped. I don't know if it was editing. A lot of stuff was left out from, not only what I said, but what other people said too. They can only show so much. They have to tell, like, why Kyle won, why he was able to navigate it with Camilla, why Joe and Eva were so popular, and why they did so well until the very end, where they couldn't kind of seal the deal and Kyle came in and won. So they have to tell the story about that to make it sense from a narrative for the season. But to just see, like, the discourse online and people were not big fans of it. So we were surprised when production told us that. We just thought they were being nice. They told everybody that, but no, they were serious. They thought this would be like a top 5, top 3 season. I think they still do like the season, but seeing how they reacted as opposed to, like, any random user on Twitter, I was like, oh man, there's a lot of different schools of thought on this.
So what advice, based on your own experience, would you give to future players of the game?
I would say go out there and just have fun, because you have no control over who's on your tribe. You have no control over who you're, like, going to work with. I had a really great relationship with Kevin. I really wanted to work with him going forward. The only reason why I changed the vote, it was supposed to be Mary who was going to go home that night, but I overheard something from medical, and they talked about potentially pulling him, that night. And I'm saying in my head, if we lose Mary and Kevin, it's me, Cedric, and Say. We're trying to get Say to play the idol. We didn't think she was going to play it, but we ended up flushing that. But if she keeps the idol, it's going to be me, Cedric, Say. Cedric and I have to vote against each other because Say will play the idol on herself, and she'll just choose which one of us go home. We're probably going to go back to tribal council. Josh, we would wake up, we would go to a challenge, we would lose, come back. All right, this one's going home. Vote somebody out. The next day it would be the same shit. So we just knew, like, we're probably going to come down to, like, what happened with Kelly, like 2 people, and then just be able to, like, dissolve the tribe or swap or something. We knew something would have had to happen because, or like a Stephanie LaGrosser and, like, Palau situation when you're down to, like, nobody but yourself. So I would say there's so much out of your control. Just control what you can and don't worry about the other stuff. Like, go out and enjoy it. Like, I wish I spent more time in the ocean. I wish I spent more time exploring, because there's so much that you could have seen, but you're just so focused on the game and the strategy and you want to win. Just try and take it easy on yourself. Enjoy the experience, because it's a cool experience, and just have as much fun with it as you can. There's only going to be one winner. I don't really think the show typically cares who wins. I think they have enough footage from everybody by that time that they can edit you, spin you into whatever light they want to show. But as one of the castmates, like, just go out there and just, like, live your dream. That's what I would say. Have very minimal expectations, if any. Either you're, like, you could be the first boot, you could be the winner. Just enjoy the experience. And that's something that I wish I would have learned going back. I was just so used to all my life. Like I had to do things a certain way. I had to do this. I had to go to this school. I had to go to work and work 6 days a week and just work my ass off. Now it's like, try to take the time to do different things. Try and enjoy the experience. Try and enjoy being in the moment. For me, it was always like, I'm doing this now, but I have to look forward to what I have tomorrow, and then the next day, and then I have a catering job next Friday. Just try and be as present as you can and enjoy the experience.
So what was your favorite part of the whole experience then?
Oh, definitely being in Fiji. I thought that was awesome. And you ever watch that Castaway, the movie?
I haven't, no.
You haven't? No? So that was actually the same island they filmed that movie. So I was searching the beach one day, and I found a plaque. And I'm saying to myself, this has to be an advantage. It was, like, embedded in the sand. So I look like a nut off camera trying to make sure that, like, nobody else saw me. like uncovering it, reading it to myself, and I'm like, none of this makes sense. I go, maybe it was like a volleyball idol because that was like a big part of the movie, or something that had to do like with the movie. And then the producers were like, don't read that. Like, do not read that on camera. You're supposed to be like out here by yourself. And, in my head, I didn't say the setup, but I'm like, I don't know, like, what the hell's I've never been here. I'm fucking 9,000 miles away from my house. I've never been on this island before. I have no idea what's going on. So that was so cool to see. The water, you could literally see like to the bottom, just like schools of fish swimming around your feet. The topography, like we had a goat hanging out with us at camp. Like that was so cool to see. Different fruit that I've never seen before in my entire life. Granted, we were on the 47 Merge Beach, and there was only 2 weeks between filming. So I did a lot of research before, area research, and I'm like, there'll be pineapple, there's gonna be papaya, there's gonna be breadfruit. We had nothing. We just had coconuts, and we had these like almonds that we found, but they weren't even like ripe. A lot of them were either overripe or they were nothing left in the shell. So they did a number on that beach, the Merge tribe. So there was not much to eat, but I don't know, it was cool, like foraging. Like that was my first time ever like living outside or camping. We've done camping before, but it's like I have a bed, we have Wi-Fi, we have electricity. I got a shower every day. Now it's like I'm out there with my hair was all frizzy. I had no product. So to try and live with that was crazy to see. But it was cool. I mean, definitely like a once in a lifetime thing. I have another funny story too. On the plane ride home, there was a couple, an older couple. They had been married for 50 years. So they went to renew their vows and do like a second honeymoon. So Castaway was their favorite movie. So, I just lived on this island for the longest time. And, people are still out there playing the game, on the island. And they're telling me, they're like, oh, we came all this way to go to Fiji because we wanted to see that island. We've never seen it before. We've only seen it on the movies. But they told us that it was closed. They were filming some show over there. And, me, who just was on the show, I was like, oh, yeah, I wonder, like, what the hell they were filming. And, I, like, hit Kevin, like, on the side. I was like, dude, this is wild. It was, like, a crazy experience that, we couldn't tell, like, what we were doing. But knowing we were actually out there and doing it was awesome.
Yeah, a lot of people, when I ask them what the favorite part of the experiences, they say, so relationships and friendships they made along the way. So who do you keep in touch with from your season? Who you're still friends with?
So Bianca and I talk like almost every day, and like I'm fully convinced like we were separated at birth because she and I just like have the same upbringing, like same parental kind of structure, same Catholic school thing, same food groups that we all love. It's like it's so funny. Like we'll text each other like on different holidays, and it'll be like the exact same setup that we have for food. Kevin I talk to a lot, pretty much every day. Same with Thomas, Stephanie. It's mostly like that, like pre-merge group. A lot of us bonded, and that was really like kind of my group. I do try to keep in touch with as many people as I can. I mean, they're always like free to message me, or like if they want to come down Luigi's, I got a spare bedroom in the house too. Like they're always welcome to crash here. But it's tough. Like I said, production told us it's kind of like high school or college. Like you'll keep up with the people like you want to keep up with. But like for me, I would like to keep up with as many as I can. It's tough to find the time to go out there and like hang with them and do the things. I'm hoping this year, that was my resolution, to try and get to more of those events and see them and just watch what they're doing, because they were all into like awesome stuff on social media. I'll see it. But it's just tough. Like we're all busy. Who's on another show and who's doing different things and who's working and who's like growing the family. So just, I hope they know if they ever need food, if they want a good Italian food fix, like, they can come and see me anytime.
And someone you didn't mention, and I want to hear how your relationship is Say. So where does your relationship with Say stand today?
She's probably the only one, like, it's upsetting to like not talk to these people as much as you want to. With Say, it's more refreshing. I prefer to not hear from her ever again. So, I don't think there's enough Tylenol in the world for me to put up with her. And I'm used to buying things in bulk, Josh, at the restaurant. So
do you watch The Challenge?
So I've never actually watched it. Like I've seen it like on Paramount, like when I would stream Survivor, I would like watch Big Brother, or I'd watch like the live feeds or something. Like it would come up. I don't really get it. I know they're in a house and they'll do physical things, but I don't know like the hall brawl, and I don't know like the other stuff, and I don't understand like how you get eliminated. It looks cool. Like it looks like an awesome show. But not the show for me. So I don't know. Like I am looking for more stuff to watch. So if you think it's good, like maybe I'll definitely tune in. But no, like other than just like in passing, or like seeing like D, or like I met Cedric from Big Brother in the Challenge last year at a party. That's about the extent of my challenge prowess.
Well, part of why I ask is that there was rumors a few weeks ago that Say and Mary were going to be in the next season of the challenge. Obviously,
Oh, I
they're not.
did
I was
see
wondering if you
that.
saw that. Yeah.
I did see that. Yeah. And then I don't know. I think Mitch was like into casting or something too, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I feel like any of them like would have been good picks too, but I don't know enough about the show to like really comment about it. I know it's been on forever. It's wild because like I'm so used to like our sports teams and like we'll have the same like cast of characters for like 10, 15, 20 years sometimes. Like I'll see the same thing on the challenge. There's like a core group of people who will go out there every single time and they'll film in cool locations. Like I think they're in Thailand or something right now playing.
Yeah.
Like that's awesome. But I don't know. Like to me, like that's crazy. Like going on the same show, like, 15, 20 times. Like that's pretty cool. You make like a career out of it. But maybe I should tune into it. I don't know.
So maybe the challenge isn't your show, but is there another show that you'd want to be on, or is it just Survivor for you?
So I went into this, Josh, like not wanted to be like on TV. Like that to me didn't really ever impact it. I just thought like this was a game where you didn't have to be like the most physical, didn't have to be the most strategic, didn't have to be the strongest, but it was a way for me to leverage like my social bonds and be able to meet new people and have this experience. But also like I thought I had like a legit shot at this. Like I do think on a redo I could do much better than I did. But I don't know, like now, like The Amazing Race, like I've always watched that too. Like that would be really cool. I would just have to like figure out like who would be a great partner. I always think like my brother, but he hates like any of these shows, like even like Survivor. He never understood like the voting. He's like, why are they voting people out? I'm like, because you have to get to one winner. I mean, at some point, people need to go home. Like that's just part of the show. I got called for, which I don't think I can even like disclose the name, but like a few like dating shows, some local and then some like bigger ones. But
Since you did Survivor before.
This was after Survivor.
Okay.
But like I would prefer to keep that private. Like my mother, like I said, she watched all this stuff. She'll watch you. She'll probably give you a shout out in the comments. But yeah, that's one thing that I would not like to broadcast. But I don't know, it's weird. Like you go on this and you're just like, all right, well, I had this experience. It was cool. Like I'll just go back to my life. But like, I was in a wrestling match last night. Like you just get like these random opportunities that just come up and you're like, oh, like, this would be cool to do once. And then like, you'll get called again and again. It's weird. You never know like what doors will open. And I went into this not expecting anything. Like I just want to do the best I could for my family. And, if it worked out, great. If it didn't, I still had a cool thing, as a fan, it was awesome. But now it's like, they wanted me in like some show, some play. I got like 2 movie calls, but it's just, I don't know. That's really not like my forte.
Yeah, so far only 3 people from your season, Kyle and Joe and Camille, have returned to reality TV. Who else do you want to see return to Survivor or another show?
I want to see Thomas back on the screen because he is so funny. He really is so funny. And I think that he got a lot more screen time because he was kind of like the first hurdle that Kyle had to get over in order to like play the game and go on to win. But I'm so glad it was him because he's just like unintentionally so funny. He's a great guy. We talk all the time and he just like, he'll crack me up no matter what he says. So seeing that on the screen, seeing his confessional, seeing like the evil villain laugh was just like so funny. And I think that he's also somebody who could do really well. It's so tough because he was in a great position on his initial tribe. They were not going to lose a challenge as far as I'm concerned anyway. And then just to see him at that awful Vula shelter, like you're going from like the Ritz-Carlton to like, the side of the road basically. So I would like to see him again. And then Kevin for sure, like he really didn't even get to play the first time. Cause like I said, Josh, he could have been pulled 5 minutes into the game and none of us would have faulted him. Like his shoulder needed to be repaired, like structurally. It was in a bad way. So to see him deal with that and still trying to compete in the challenges and still go out there on the journey. I mean, I didn't even understand how hurt he was. I knew he was in pain, but it seemed like he got over it. And then I'm like, if you want to do this, Kevin, because he wanted to compete. Looking back now, I feel like a total asshole because I didn't know obviously how hurt he was. But I do want to see him do something, whether it be Survivor, whether it be like the challenge, like a physical show. I think he could do really well on something like that.
I'm curious, you walking around the streets of Boston, do you get recognized a lot from the show or do people know you from Luigi's?
All the time. It's so freaky. And I'm like, I didn't even get like that much screen time. So when I wear my hair down, it's like nonstop. So now I'm just like reserved to the bum. So I'll keep it up, which I do wear it up anyway at work. I have to, it's like a Board of Health thing, but I would always wear it down or I would like brush it because it was just so much easier with this, it'll like pull my hair back. I'll get a headache. It's just like, it's a lot, but I don't, it's crazy. Like grocery stores, sporting events. I'd be out at like a bar with my friends and they'd be like, "Oh, you're the dude from like the show." I remember like we got dinner before the movies one night, and like these like group of kids were like looking at me. I was like, "Oh, do I got something on my face? Like, am I wearing something weird?" And they're like, "Bro, like we just watched your season. Like I can't believe you're here." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, I'm just like, I'm a regular dude. You know what I mean? Like I go out, I wake up, I go to work. Like, I lead like a relatively boring life. I feel like nothing's like crazy exciting. You do have like fun events here and there, but it's mostly like work, like see if like mom and dad are good, and then just like go about your day, the gym here and there. But it's crazy. Like the fans are so tapped into it. They love the show so much. They have, to see them like see somebody who was just on their screen and then like in real life and interact. I'm like, this is like so cool for me. I've never had that feeling, but for them, it's like a memory. Like we'll take photos together. Like the autograph request will always blow my mind because A, my penmanship is terrible. And B, like I was only on 3 episodes of a show. So it's just, I don't know. The fandom is awesome. They've all been like very, very good to me. So I appreciate it.
And I wanted to briefly touch on Big Brother Puts Ultimately, a Big Brother podcast. You mentioned it earlier, but they watched season 25. So did you keep watching after that? Or what's your fandom a given summer with Big Brother?
So I did watch the entirety of 25, thinking that like I may play that game. I'm so grateful I did not, like I said, because that's a different animal. And then 26, there was a local contestant, Kenny Kelly. So we had a chance to meet, and we've done events together. He does a lot for charity and for the community too, which is awesome. Grant, I wish he had gone further. Obviously, I'm sure he does too. But it was cool to support him. So then I was like, well, I'm already into it. Like, let's like keep going. I got a kick out of Tucker. Mackenzie was a challenge beast. Seeing Chelsea win that was cool. Meeting Cedric from that season was awesome too. And then I'm like, how can I not stop, or how can I stop watching it now? I'm already like 2 seasons into it. Mm-hmm. I just, between the live feeds and 3 episodes a week and the recaps, and there's so much content with Big Brother. Like I give the fans like so much credit. I'll see those accounts on Twitter too. They'll recap all the live feeds. They'll clip everything. Like to me, like that is amazing. Like the fans are really, really passionate about the show. Seeing Rachel Riley come back too was cool. Like, that whole season was nuts. Like the Vince and Morgan dynamic, and just like you had a bunch of crazy characters on that too. I'm becoming a fan. My good friend Juliana too. Was always a Big Brother person. She loves Big Brother. That's her favorite show. She looks forward to it every summer. So she was telling me for years, like, you got to watch the show. You got to watch the show. I would tune in for like, a minute, like to help her, like, or if we watch it together, or like whatever. But now like I am more invested. Like I do get it. And it's become like a good void in the summertime because there's not much to watch on TV. So it's like, oh, we'll throw on, it's eviction night. We'll throw on the TV and we'll see who's going home.
So maybe if you're watching this summer, we'll have you back in the summer.
Yeah, I would love that. Are you kidding me? That'd be a ton of fun.
What player from your season do you think would be good on Survivor? I mean, Big Brother.
On Big Brother?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Do you know if any of your cast is Big Brother fans?
I actually don't know. Like we would joke about it, but it's just, I don't know. I feel like you're either like team Big Brother or you're team Survivor. And then like the Amazing Race will get like some crossover because it's just kind of like not like as much strategy or not as much like, you're in the game, like the backstabbing. I'm trying to think like socially navigating, I'm sure like people are going to say just for like the conflict, but I don't know how well that will go over. Like when you're in a confined house for 100 days, maybe like a Mitch, I feel like, because he's good at like those like carnival backyard games that the challenges kind of like, like the ring toss or like underhand throw. I mean, that dude had a serious lethal shot. That second challenge we did, the water challenge, I don't think he missed a single shot like from the basketball net. So I think that would be cool. I just cannot fathom, Josh, like living in a house under total surveillance for like 100 days. Like that to me is just, it's crazy. And just seeing the cameras on the live feed, like watching your every move and just, totally mic'd up the whole time. And then if you're like trying to take a nap and Big Brother chiming in, like, oh, it's time to get up. Like I'd be like, oh my God, where the hell am I?
So you watch Survivor, you watch Big Brother. Do you watch any other reality shows? Are you into Traders or any dating shows or anything like that?
I am obsessed with Love Island. Like I cannot stop watching that. And it was the freakiest thing because I heard about it for years and I never even paid attention to it. I think it was on CBS like years ago.
Yeah,
but,
the first 2 seasons.
Yes, okay. But I would never like pay attention to it. I would see it. I was like, oh, like these people are hot. And, like everyone's in like really good shape and they're on an island. They're They were in like Vegas one summer or something, like on a rooftop hotel. So I was like, this is really cool, but nothing I would get into. My buddy Brian got on the show like just randomly. He was in Casa Amor. So he got on and then came into the show, ended up winning the show. But just like following him, I didn't know how long it was going to last. I had absolutely no idea, but watching his journey, it became like appointment television. So I would go out for like watch parties. I go to my friend's house. My mother would be like, where are you going tonight? I'm like, oh, they're doing like a Love Island thing. They want me to come in, like just watch a show with them. I'm like, oh, this will be cool. And then like the next day, it would be the same thing. They're like, we're doing it again tonight. It was on like basically every single day. And then I remember trying to watch it on like a Wednesday night. And I tweeted about something. Mike Bloom actually responded. He goes, Justin, it's not on tonight. Like, it's like the one night it's not on. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I sat down. I had everything ready. We had like a party set up. And then I guess I should have looked at the schedule for the show. But no, they got me hooked. Like I am obsessed with that show. I love it. Like every aspect of it. I think it's like so entertaining. I just think like the turnaround time with the edit, like it's in real time too. The voting aspect, you're sitting there on your phone, like, oh, I want to see this person do this, or he's my favorite, or she's not, or vice versa. I'm hooked for life. Like I cannot wait. I think it's like June 2nd. I saw reality TV updates. It's coming back. I'm like, I'll be on the couch. I'll be watching no matter what.
So is that the show that reached out to you then?
No. I think I've aged out of that. And plus, like, whatever they do for like ad routines and stuff, like I'm jealous. Like, hopefully they can like let me know what their routine is. Brian does a lot of running. He does a lot of marathons too. So he's always in good shape. I was in great shape before Survivor, and then I had abs after Survivor. And that was kind of like the life shelf of or shelf life, I should say, of my abdominal muscles.
So how has your personal life or your career with Luigi's, how has it been impacted by your time on Survivor?
Oh, it's been amazing. And like, it blows my mind because we're honestly just like a small operation, Josh. Like we have less than 40 seats, legit like decor out of like 1982. Like it looks like it was like, everything was lost around it. And this was like a time capsule. That's how Luigi's looks. An old menu board, like old lights, like the checkerboard countertops. But people like they'll go out of their way to plan a trip to Boston to come see Luigi's. And like that warms my heart. So I'll try to go out there. If it isn't busy, like I always want to talk to them. I always want to have a conversation. Like when did they start watching the show? Like what brought them into Luigi's? Like where are they from? What's their background? Would they ever want to play the game? Would they ever want to go out on like another show? How'd they get into Survivor? So it's cool. Like you just meet all these awesome people that you would have never met before over like a shared interest. I think that I have a leg up in the sense of meeting people because it's a place of business. It's a public place. Like you could walk in any day of the week and see either myself or my parents or my aunts, my uncles, my buddies from high school who work the front counter, my delivery drivers. You'll see a bunch of us. And it's like that same team who have been with me forever. And you'll now see like how they interacted. We've got a lot of posters from production. They sent them right to Luigi. So we have them hanging on the wall, some Survivor flags. I have like an original Vula tribe challenge flag too that I have down there. So like legit stuff from Fiji, from the shoot, from the set. And then when it came to like the events and stuff, there were some nights I couldn't be at the restaurant. So my dad had a great idea. He goes, why don't you like bring a guest book? So I have a book on the countertop. People come in, they'll sign it, where you're from, like, like talk about where what brought you here. Did you like Justin on the show? Should Justin have done anything different? But there's everything in there, like requests for me to be on Second Chances, which like I'm honored. I don't think that's in the cards. Some like marriage proposals, like dude, like the whole scope of everything. But it's awesome. Like I'll sit down every single night and just read it back, and I'll get new messages every single day. We're in our third book, so they filled 2 notebooks already. The third one's about halfway filled, so it's just been overwhelming, but in a good way. It's been awesome.
I had one fan question. Nick Caruso from TV Line.
Oh, my buddy.
He wants to know why Luigi's cheese pizza is so damn good.
He's been trying to get the sauce recipe out of me. He's a great guy. And I got to shout him out too, because he does awesome exit interviews. He did a full, like the whole press tour before 50. They had a bunch of people on there. He was one of the reporters who was out there on location, interviewing like pregame with everybody on the cast. So it's a family recipe that we've had for over 50 years. My uncle Louis, that's how we got the name Luigi. He was masterful in his skill. He was a great cook. He was a great pizza guy. I never got to meet him. He passed away before I was born. But apparently, like, he was like a huge asshole. Like, people did not like talking to him, but they would tolerate him because he was such a good cook. So he taught my dad how to cook, and that was kind of like him paying homage to his uncle. But a lot of people, they'll use like soybean oil, or they'll use corn oil, or they'll use olive oil. And you think like, all right, olive oil would be good, but it doesn't cook right. We use peanut oil in our dough. We make our dough 3 times a day in-house every single day. We hand roll it. We separate it ourselves. We'll stretch them into the rounds. Nothing is frozen. Everything is fresh prepared. The sauce too, the same thing. We make it in-house. We use premium tomatoes. We use premium spices. We use cheese imported from Italy. It'll come to us every month. So we use quality ingredients. The one thing we change is that we add a little bit of sugar and we add peanut oil to the dough. So people freak out. They're like, I'm allergic to peanuts. I have a peanut allergy or intolerance. The oil is actually stripped of all the allergens. So you can eat it. We've never had an issue. People have eaten it with allergies, and they've been wary about it, but no problems. But it gives it like that crisp. It gives it that crunch. It gives it like that golden brown color that you'll see in some of the high quality pizza places. And also we use a really high quality cheese. So when you come to Luigi's, Josh, you will not see like that oil slick that's on top of so many cheese pizzas. And people are like, oh, it's all greasy. And you'll hold the slice like this. They'll start dripping down. That's because we use a different fat content. So it won't separate the fat from the cheese. It'll just cook as one cohesive unit, and you'll see it melt evenly. So that's my secret. Little bit of sugar, the peanut oil, and then high quality ingredients. You want to use good tomatoes, you want to use good cheese, and you want to cook it in a deck oven. You don't want to use, I don't want to. You never want to like bring down another pizza shop, even if it's like a chain. But like those conveyor belt ovens, and you'll see like the diamond pattern on the bottom of the dough, like those are garbage. Like that's not going to give you a good bake. You want a good deck oven, or you want a coal oven, you want a wood fired oven, something that will give you a lot of heat, but it'll cook evenly.
Yeah, I like sausage, bacon, pepperoni. I can just slice of that there.
Oh, we do a meat lover. So we add ham and we add meatball too. And our meatballs are homemade. So that would be right up your alley, I'm telling you.
All right, just a couple more questions. We'll wrap up. So I saw on your Strava bio that one of your hobbies was listening to sports talk radio. So I'm also a big sports guy. So I want to hear what your teams are and what your fandom with sports are.
So for me, it's like the Bruins, and then like everything else is like fighting for second place. But I love any Boston sports. I'm not like a huge Celtics guy, but like when Tatum came back, like that was awesome. And after like a pretty difficult injury to come back from, it was cool to see him back out there and already making an impact. Loved the Pats especially when Brady was there. I think I was more of a Tom Brady fan than a Patriots fan, but I was spoiled for 2 decades. So, I always had like the AFC Championship game booked like the year before. I'm like, I am going to be busy this Sunday, like no matter what, because I know we're going to be playing in it. And for the most part, like it was more often than not, the Patriots would be in the AFC Championship game, which was crazy to say. And then baseball too, like nothing is better than Fenway in the summer, like sitting there in the outfield with like a lemonade or like a cold beer or something. I love pretzels. So any like ballpark pretzel, like I'm all for. But the Bruins will always be my number one. I played hockey, not well. I played in high school, like we had like a league going, like a club league. And then we did some beer leagues. We did some street hockey leagues. But I just got off the season ticket list last year. So I've gone to so many games, Josh, like way too many games. I feel like every other night, like I'm at the Garden and just like cheering on my favorite team. But it's been cool. I don't know what their outlook is because they're kind of like trying to find their identity. They missed the playoffs last year. And now, they may miss it again, or they may make it. As long as you get in the playoffs for the NHL, you can always make a good run. So I'm hoping for the best, expecting the worst, of course, with them. They're known to break my heart, but any and all Bruins stuff, like I'm always all for.
So you being a Sox fan, you hate the Yankees, but I'm a New York sports fan. So. Oh,
you are? I mean, I get along well with you. So can I ask you what the difference is? I know it's like the Jets Giants split, but they're in the same stadium. They've shared a stadium for years. So like how you do grow up like a Giants fan? How do you grow up a Jets fan? Is it just like your parents were one way or your grandparents were one way and you just kind of like continue that on?
Yeah. So MetLife Stadium, I actually live 5 minutes from MetLife Stadium.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
So I'm a Jets fan. So I became a Jets fan because my grandfather was actually Joe Namath's lawyer.
Oh, that's incredible.
So that's how I'm a Jets fan.
That's awesome. So are you happy about that decision?
About being a Jets fan? I mean, it's terrible. But
I don't mean to give you a dig there, bro. But like, I don't know. We always like anytime I'll give Rizzo some shit. He's a big Giants fan. Kyle's a Bills fan. So like, it's just like a little, it's always like friendly jabs.
Yeah.
It's funny. I wanted season tickets to the Patriots for so long. I could never get off the list. The list is like at the time it was like 30 or 40 years, not as bad as Green Bay, but pretty close to it. Then when he went to Tampa Bay, I applied and like got on right away. And I'm like, this is a crazy purchase. But I mean, you can only go to so many Patriots games. It was so hard to get tickets back then. Now it was like we'd get on a Spirit flight, like $27. We would just wear whatever the hell we were wearing, go to the game, and then fly home that night. So it was a crazy trip. I mean, it was 6 hours of travel in a day, and then another football game, which is like 4 hours. So it was like a 10-hour day condensed. But we had so much fun. They had those for 3 years, and I went to a bunch of games down there, and it was great. I mean, watching football in December in shorts and a t-shirt, I was like, this is like unbelievable. And getting to see Brady, which was a cherry on top.
Yeah, I'm not really into hockey, but otherwise my teams are Jets, Nets, and Yankees.
Oh, nice. All right, that's awesome. So you got a good smorgasbord kind of going on.
Yeah, in my man cave downstairs, I have the walls are painted in Yankee pinstripes. So a big Yankees
that is
guy.
so cool. I had Bruins gold on my walls for the longest time, and then at 17, I go, it's probably time to paint it over to a more neutral color.
So what's next for you, Justin? Any projects or appearances or anything Luigi's coming up people should know about?
So we have an actual watch party going on Wednesday at Night Shift Brewery in Everett. If anyone is local, please come by. We're doing a partnership with Underground Games, and they do life-size replica challenges of Survivor. So you can kind of like run your own immunity challenge. They have individual immunity challenges too. They do an awesome job. Big fans of the show. They have puzzles, they have prizes, they have giveaways, and it's a local brewery too, so you'll be supporting them. So it's cool. Like if you're around, we're starting at 6 o'clock. We'll probably go till like right after the episode. We'll do some Q&A. We'll do some photos. They always say signings, which I always think is weird to me because I'm like, who the hell wants my autograph? And then we're doing another event actually at Luigi's April 14th. So we're going to have a ton of Survivor alumni. Bryce and Wendell are going to come by too from Ghost Island in Cagayan. So they'll be by Luigi's. You might see some other local favorite players too. April 14th, we're going to set up Luigi's parking lot this time, and we're going to do a full-scale immunity challenge. So you can try your luck. If you want to be on the show, if you want to play the game sometime, this is the best way to train because it's very, very hard to make any of those challenges or to run through any of those challenges. So if you always wanted to try your hand at it and see how you would do, and maybe it comes in handy down the line. Maybe you're the puzzler or you have to be on that final challenge and you nailed it and you're like, I remember that time I was at Luigi's and I did this challenge and I made it happen. So come down, everyone's invited. Obviously the one at Luigi's, I believe, I don't know if there's tickets. The tickets for the one Wednesday are in my bio at Justin Pioppi on all my social media. So come down, you'll have a ton of fun. You'll meet a ton of people and we'll watch episode 4 together.
All right, Justin, this was a great conversation. Thank you for talking with me. And next time I'm in Boston, I'll stop at Luigi's.
You are welcome anytime, my friend. And send me your mailing address because we want to get you a Luigi shirt.
Okay, thank you
so much. Just do not hang it on the Yankee wall. That's the only thing I have.
Okay.